Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is brought to you by Farm Simulator for Nintendo Switch 2. So we're gonna show that in a little bit. While waiting for leg arms to do a little bit of that Logan clutch stuff, I brought my problematic snow blade in that I bought for a skid steer. Someone in the area had it and obviously been modified. The original is the orange. They added all that on there. It was angled on a big old frame. And the problem, it just didn't do a very good job. So I cut it down, put the adapter plate on the front of it, just so it's a pusher. Well, that'll be a great pusher around the farm because, you know, just need to push the snow out of the way. The problem is every time the skid steer lifts up just a little bit or hits something and it chops, it makes a rivet in the ground, a divot, and then when your tires drive over it, then it picks the blade up again, and then it compounds, and before you know it, you got washboards, and it's really bad. And I don't know, either you throw it away, scrap it, or I try to improve it a little bit. So I decided, well, let's try to improve it. So I cut the old leg off, and then I'm gonna take some old trailer channel from old trailer frame that we bought, and I'm gonna weld it on the corner like that, brace it, put one on the other side, and my theory is, when you're on the ground, you just drag this, and it'll just take whatever, drag, it'll fine, it'll wear out over time. I've got the blade about a 1/2 inch to 3/8 above the ground, so that way it won't just push gravel. It'll hopefully go underneath it. And then it won't sit there and gouge the ground. It'll just slide, smooth sliding. Does that make sense? I don't know. Why don't I just go buy a nice skid steer attachment for the skid steer? Yeah, we should do that when we grow 40 bushel wheat. So until then, I'm going to play with this until we get it going. We could just use the bucket. The bucket's narrower. It works. I just hate wearing that thing out, and it likes to scoop. It scoops a lot of gravel. You're always piling gravel everywhere on accident because you're just, as you're pushing the snow, digging the gravel off the road, dump it in piles, and then when it melts, there's a big pile of gravel there. So my hope is that this can eliminate that. So let's get to work. How dirty is the face? Dirty enough? Must mean the job's done. All right, here's what we got. Farmerized. Even cut a nice little angle there so when I back up, I don't gouge the ground as bad. Braced with mold iron. I think we're ready for a test run, so let's take it out. Now it actually holds itself up before I just tip over. Isn't that nice? I was thinking too, I'll get a poly cutting edge for the front of this too. Drill some holes through and put a poly piece on there. Depending on how well this works. Yeah. Oh, that's so awesome. Well, that worked out pretty good. I'm actually really thrilled. It didn't hop at all. It just skidded right along. It's leaving about 1/2 inch snow on the ground, so that's fine. So I say let's put that back in the shop so it melts and make a giant puddle, and I'm gonna clean my face off. Win-win. Now, the snow has melted quite a bit. It's not like we had a big storm, but we're just at the beginning, so there's gonna be a lot more snow coming. Not like Minnesota snow, but we'll get some snow. So let's be ready for it.
Guess what? My lovely wife decided to make some nice warm hats. They've got this little cute tutu thing on there. Isn't that cool? I like it. This adds extra warmth to the bald people. If you're bald and need extra warmth, get this thing. We also have this one too. Isn't that cute? It's like the Big Bud. It is the Big Bud. But if you guys want to, and you haven't seen, which I'm sure you have seen, so we got these really nice shirts, if I can do it with one hand, for the KTTA 700. So yeah, if you're cold and you want a little extra warmth, they got these things. We also have sweatshirts and hats and shirts and coffee mugs and a bunch of good stuff. So if you want to, go to farmfocus.com or Farm Focus, and if you want, there's a bunch of other YouTubers on there too. and have a bunch of cool stuff. It is bright and snowy out. But it is that time of year. Stay warm, guys. You're gonna need it. They're talking brutal cold winter this year. I don't know what that means, but they're talking. And who's talking? I don't know, word of mouth. Somebody's talking. So, go get yourself some swag. Some warm, cuddly swag. Like that. It's cute, I love it. Alrighty, let's finish out that PTO on that Logan clutch on top of the tractor. This thing is painted and ready to go. Ooh, that's pretty. I wonder what this is for. There's a slip collar inside of it. Cool. Cool. And cool cap. That's for another project. It's gonna fix a leak. A leak that, oh boy, this thing's heavy. But what I need to do is I need to find out, do I need to cut this thing? Not this unit that I'm holding in my hand. Oh, that is a big, tall step. There we go. No, I might have to cut the shaft down here. So if we look, right there, this bolts onto here. Since this is a bigger Logan clutch, this is the 1000 series, we had the 600 series. The 600 series was a little bit shorter and a little smaller. Because this is a little longer, I might have to cut that, move it over a little bit for this to fit in. Or there's a chance that I might not have to, but I don't know yet until I pull it apart. So what I need to do is I need to take these bolts, that one and that one, hold this out of the way, take this, bolt it up, and then I'll figure it out exactly how much I need to remove, and then re-weld, repaint, rebalance, all that good stuff. So yeah, I got a little bit to do. And if I remember correctly, inch and eighth or inch and a quarter, those nuts and bolts. You know what? I'm going to grab an inch and eighth. And if it's not an inch and eighth, you know what? Why don't I just grab both? Inch and eighth and inch and a quarter. Where are you? That's inch and 3/8. Inch and a quarter right here. There we go, found it. Right there. See, I knew it was in there. I knew it was in there all the time. I wasn't worried. Tall step. Tall step. Gosh, if I only knew how many times I've been up and down this tractor. And there's more to come. What do you guys think? Inch and eighth or inch and a quarter? I'm gonna say probably inch and an eighth. You got it? Yeah. I just dropped the inch and eighth socket. It's inch and eighth. You guys saw it. I'm clumsy. Thanks, Nick.
And fluffy.
Oh wait, Nick said I was fluffy too. Which is absolutely true. 100% true. Yep, I need that. And that. How you doing, Nick?
Yeah, pretty good.
Okay, good. I'm just making sure that you can pick up stuff off the floor that I drop. Okay.
What about that one?
Yeah. I need that one too. Sorry, Nick.
No, it's good. It's all good.
You sure? You resent me yet?
Yep.
Oh, he says yes. All right, now there we go. Pull this up, right? If I can. That's heavy.
Do you need help at all? Besides picking up stuff?
As you guys can tell, that goes on. Like so. Let's pull this cap off. I want to break it.
I switched to 530.
Oh yeah. I gotta cut it. You guys look. This is nice and tight here. You can see how much I need to cut it off. I'll probably cut a little bit more than that too, so enough room. But I need to get a tape measure. My foot's stuck, and I'm not dropping anything for Nick to pick up at the moment. Keyword, at the moment. I got some figuring to do.
Now, where did I put that? No, it wasn't. It was. Oh, here we are. Yep, that's a good one. That one's pretty good. Now that one. Let's go in the office and talk for a second. I'm sure you're all well aware by now, but today's video is brought to you by Farm Simulator. But just not any ordinary Farm Simulator. Farming Simulator Signature Edition for the Nintendo Switch 2. And I have it right here in my hand. Farm Simulator is big. It's really big. In fact, it's sold over 25 million copies to date, and it's not slowing down. And the latest version, the Signature Edition, is now coming to the Nintendo Switch 2, which is a fresh console. Hit the market a couple months ago, and this baby's going right to it. For anyone who does not know, Farming Simulator lets players take control of their farm in a realistic open world setting where they can build an agriculture empire and develop knowledge, skills of agriculture, machine operations, animal husbandry, forestry, and more. Being that the Nintendo Switch 2 is a portable device, it creates a family-friendly way to be able to take farming from, say, your couch, your main TV, your basement, man cave, maybe your office, wherever you like to throw down some farming, to say, you know, the buddy seat in a tractor, or along your grandpa while he's driving the combine in the buddy seat, or, you know, on your family trip to wherever you're going, in the back of the Suburban, bouncing around. Great place to be bucking some bales, rounding up some cows, and cultivating some soil, all on your Switch. Signature Edition has over 25 crops you can grow in your fields, over 400 authentic machines, and 150 real-life brands that you can use. All in this. Now that I got you all excited for the game, you can always head over to places like Amazon, Walmart, Target, GameStop, Best Buy, and pick yourself a copy of Farm Simulator Signature Edition. Another option is going to the link in the description. So again, thank you Farm Simulator for sponsoring this video. I am going to get back to work.
So what I figured out roughly is this tube here is 4 inches is what I've extended this. And that was to the original Logan clutch. Well, with that spacer plate on the Logan clutch, and then also that flange plate that bolts to the P2 on the tractor, and how long the Logan clutch is, I basically need to cut that whole entire tube right here out. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to cut back about a 1/2 inch right here. I'll do 1 inch because I can always there's more room for the seal to wear on this shaft here. So I'm gonna cut 1 inch off of this right here, and then remove this completely, and then I'll go up there, mock it up, make sure that's right, but I'll weld that right up to that tube. So the tube is literally only gonna be that long, and it's gonna be like money. So yeah, I just need to remove this nut right here, pull that bearing out so I don't damage it when I'm welding on it, and put it in the lathe and go from there. Say okay, Nick.
Alrighty.
He says alrighty. That works. I don't know what's going on with me today. I'm dropping everything I touch. I think I'm gonna good. That is just, I'm gonna be happy with that. To the machinists out there, I'm sorry, but I'm happy with that. You guys are probably not. Something machinist. So something I want to point out at, when I balanced this, when I mean balanced or trued, that's the best way to put it, is trued. I had that Lovejoy assembly that I built and everything, and I put it up on the tractor and I bolted it up, and then I used that beautiful gauge right there. Well, actually it was that one, to be honest, because somebody else gave me that one, which is awesome, thank you. This one's kind of, it works. But anyways, here's the deal. I used that up on the tractor, and so when I centered it and got it true, I tacked it and then welded it, and it was true with it up there on the cab. But because that whole Lovejoy was off-centered, this is off-centered, and this is what I want to show you. I don't know if you guys can see this, but I'm going to turn this on, I don't know if you guys can see that little bit of a wobble, and I'll show you, like right here. I'm just gonna barely touch it. Okay. If you guys can tell, right there. See that mark? That's the high point. This whole tube is bent upward like this, so it's flopping as it's going around. That part is true. So when I cut this out and stick this to here, I'm going to make this perfectly true with that. And then it should be good. But when you're rushing to meet a deadline to get a farm tractor to a show, well, you don't do a very good job. Then you got to redo it again. So anyways, you guys are seeing me do it again. Now the question is, do I leave this one, cut that one off, and then cut the tube down, and then stick this on, center it up, and weld it? Or do I do it the other way? I think I'm going to cut this side off over here, and then I'll trim this off, because this is true. This is not changing. If I keep this where it's at, when I add this onto here and weld it, it'll be easier to center this. Now, it's going to take a little while. Now I got a couple parts over here, obviously, you can tell. Load and clutch, we figured that out. Here's the yoke coming off of it. Inside this yoke is these splines, and then from those splines go into these splines, which then go into these splines on the bearing that holds the shaft. And then from here is the pivot point of the tractor where there's another stub shaft. So what I've done here is you got to find the center of the yokes. There's a center here, and then when I figured out the center of this one, because I know where the yoke is supposed to be when it attaches to it, I got that figured out. So then when the yoke is attached, that center will be in line with this center, which means now I got to get these two lined up to be pretty much center. Now, if they're slightly off, like just a little bit, you'll never know because it's such a short stub shaft and there's like no side angle of any rotation. It's basically straight. Now, a lot of you guys are going to say, you're going to tear up your universal joints because they're straight. You need to have an angle on them to make them work back and forth. And you are absolutely correct. The straighter your universal joints are on your drive shafts, your universal joints will wear out faster. And the reason for is they get a spot where those pins inside the caps just sit there. Well, they start wearing on it and they don't get lubed up by the grease. And then what happens is it starts wearing into the cap or the universal joint, and then you start causing chatter and you get the idea. Now, when you have an angle on it, you're rotating those pins back and forth, which is getting grease smeared on them, and they last a lot longer. But in my situation, I cannot get an angle on it because of the way that it's set up going across the tractor, it has to be straight. But I'm only talking this one universal joint right here that could be doing that. And the thing is, this isn't going to be running down the road like a semi for hours on end. We're only talking short spurts. So for what I'm doing here, I don't think it's going to be ever a problem. And if for some reason this universal joint needs to be changed out in 10 years or 5 years, you know, it's not the end of the world. But to make this happen, this is just how it's going to be. So anyways, I need to press this together because I got a dot here. There's a nice straight line here, and then there's a dot there. And then I need to press it together and weld these two together, clean them up, and away you go. Gave me a little bit of a fight trying to get it on there, but I finally did. And here's the mock-up to see what we got going on. Okay, as you can tell, there's a yoke there. There will be a yoke right here onto it. Obviously, this needs to be moved over to this shoulder. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this up to the top of the bud, put it on, put the subshaft on, and then get an idea where the bearing's going to be and make sure it's all right, that we can make that measurement work. And if it all works, and so far it's all lined up like I want it to, Then I'm going to put it back on the lathe, make sure that both ends are perfectly true. Once they're perfectly true, then I'm going to weld it up and then check it again. And then we should be good to go. Put some paint on it and call it good. So yeah, I'm going to go fit it and then come back to the lathe. All right, now look at this. She's true. I like it. So I'm going to let it sit there for a little bit, let it cool down. Just add a little bit of pressure, there we go. And then I'll come back with a welder and weld it up. Before I weld it, I'll check it one time just in case it moved from it cooling. But as you use the heat, it's expanding the tube. And then when it's spinning like that, it's going to try to find a center point to get balanced. And it's kind of a trick. It works. And I'm not too worried about heating this up a lot because it's a really, really short tube versus a very long tube. I wouldn't want to be putting a whole lot of heat. Try to be careful how much you do, but this thing's so short, it's not going to break. There's no reason for it to twist and come apart. And then I'll clean up these welds on the lathe. After I weld it up, I'll clean it all up and make it look pretty and paint it. Hey, look at this.
He redid it once.
Don't listen to him. If you could hear him, don't listen to him. Anyways, what do you guys think of this?
I'm lying. No, I'm not.
Let's turn this on. Let's turn this to low. Good.
Actually, I did it.
That guy needs to just... good job, Nick. Good job. Good job. Anyways, it's done. Now the thing is to take it out and go put that bearing back on, a few other things, paint it and put it back on the tractor. There we go. All right, let's get some NJCs. There we go, that's on. Yeah, you put too much down. You gotta compress it in there somehow.
It'll squish it out.
Well, if I can.
And then it'll splatter all over the cab. How far does it need to go in?
All the way.
This needs to touch this?
Yep.
Oh, I'm gonna have to take it out. I might have to use my finger and scoop out some of that then. It's probably not gonna go.
Because I don't think I can see. They like stuck it in there. Somebody machined it so nice in there.
All right, you can try that.
There we go, I think it's just gotta see in that hole now.
All right, leg arms wrap this up. So, gotta get the rest of the shafts balanced. I'm gonna take that in a couple days here to Shelby Montana, where there's a shop, and they're gonna take that in and balance them and make sure they're true. And then we should have a pretty smooth running drive, PTO drive shaft system here. We gotta lower the cab down. There's a chance that there, now it sticks up taller, might hit somewhere up here. So we're about to find that out. Yes, you might have said, well, we should have measured that. We should have. That's how we're gonna do this, because you know what? We like to fix things after we find out when they're not quite right. But it just might mean moving some brackets or cutting a hole in the floor and it'll just stick out in your floor where your feet are. So he's gonna lower it down here when he finally gets over here.
Okay. Do you need any pictures before you lower the cab down?
I can take a picture, I guess. Do I need to post this or something?
I think so.
All pretty. I should already posted it though. I do it again, I guess. I don't want a picture of myself. That's kind of weird.
You should. You look cute.
Ooh, that's a good one right there. Oh, I had my flash on. Let's do one of these, like that. There we go. Beautiful.
I like how they took a lot of effort to do.
All right, I gotta take off this safety. There we go. All right, it's clear to come down. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, looking pretty good so far. As long as my engine mounts hold up. Oh yeah, you're gonna clear. Yeah, it's missing everything. Beautiful. Now I can't see anymore. Can you?
Oh, we've got like a ½ inch.
I was gonna say, I can't even see it.
We have a ½ inch, so if the cab bounces a little bit.
Well, the cab should be deaded out on those stops, so it shouldn't bounce anymore.
What we can do is we can move that whole unit off to the side.
Yeah.
Elbow.
I don't know. I mean, if it doesn't hit, it doesn't hit.
It's got to go. The cab's got to go down a ½ inch before it even touches.
Yeah, it can't do that.
So
we're good. Perfect. Like a glove. That's what we meant to be. All right. Get up. Enough sleeping on the tractor.